we talk about the tech community, it is so influential now. Why do you think that you can win over the tech community?
Every time I talk to someone in the tech community, they tell me, look, I'm fiscally conservative, I want smaller government in the business world, and I'm kind of same way in my social world. I'm a little bit more moderate to liberal in the social world. And I think that's sort of a fit somehow for someone, a Republican who has kind of libertarian leanings. I think when I'm in Silicon Valley or I'm in Austin in the tech community, that's the kind of thing I hear.
I've covered tech for years. It's a progressive community, right? Very open-minded about certain things. Do you worry that some of your stance on some of these social issues might affect being able to really kind of dive deep within these communities?
I'm very much for people being left alone, from government. The government really doesn't have any business in people's personal affairs, and so I think we fit together pretty well.
Let's look at something like net neutrality. Your position might not 100% jive with a lot of the folks here and in Silicon Valley who might argue they need some of these protections. So what do you say to those folks?
Well, the interesting thing is for people who are worried that somehow local monopolies by the broadband providers will somehow lead to sort of price discrimination, is why don't we free up competition? For example, most cities have given an exclusive license to one cable company. Why can't we give many licenses? Why couldn't we have 10 cable companies in Austin? Why couldn't we have 10 cable companies in New York City? Most of that's done by legal prohibition against competition. So I am for opening up competition. But I'm against sort of having the government come in and make the internet a utility. I remember the days of having one phone company when it was regulated by government and there was no competition allowed. That's a real problem. One of the great things about the internet and all this explosion of jobs and wealth is because of freedom and because of the government's not been involved with the internet. I fear letting the government get its clutches on the internet.
Obviously, technology has such an influence now on government, on who could potentially win an election. Let's go to 2016. What do you think the killer app could be?
If I knew that, I'd be in the app business and I'd be a millionaire like all these young 20-somethings running around with handfuls of cash. No, I don't know necessarily what the next app will be, but I do know that using apps and having a way to communicate and get to kids and get to voters is an enormously powerful tool, and we want to make sure we're part of it.
What problem would you throw out to the tech community and say, please help, we need you to help us solve this?
We need you to go around to every young person, tell them to register to vote. They don't register to vote and they don't show up to vote. The technology has the ability to find people who are not watching the news channels.